Unit 3 Vocal Assessment 2. I guess you think you know this story.
You don't, the real one's much more gory.
The funny one, the one you know, was killed years and years ago.
And made to sound all soft and happy, just to make the children happy.
Mind you, they got the first bit right, the bit when the dead of night. The ugly sister is jealous and all.
Departed from the palace ball.
While darling little Cinderella was looked up in a slimy cellar, where rats who wanted to eat things
began to nibble at her feet.
She bellowed,
"Help!
and
Let me out!"
the magic fairy heard her shout. Appearing in a blaze of light, she said,
"My dearie, are you alright?"
Alright?
cried Cindy.
Can you see I feel as rotten as I can be?
She beat her fist against the wall and shouted,
Get me to the ball! There's a disco at the palace and the rest have gone. I'm jealous. I want a dress, I want a coach. My aim is the white diamond coach. And silver slippers, 2 of those, and lovely nylon pantyhose. Done up like that'll guarantee the handsome prince will fall for me.
The fairy said, "Hang on a tick!" She gave her wand a mighty flick, and quickly, in no time at all, Cindy was at the palace ball.
He made the ugly sister's wings to see dancing with the prince.
She held him very tight and pressed himself up against his manly chest.
The prince himself was turned to cold, but all he could do was gasp and gulp. The midnight struck, and she shouted,
Heck, I've got a round to save my neck.
The prince cried.
"No, alas, alack!"
He grabbed her dress to hold her back. As Cindy shouted,
Let me go!
The dress was ripped
from head to toe.
She ran out in her underwear, losing one slipper on the stairs. The prince was on it like a dart. He pressed it on his pounding heart. The girl who fits the slipper, he cried, tomorrow morn shall be my bride. I'll visit every house in this town until I track down the maiden. Then rather carelessly, I fear, he placed it on a crate of beer.
At once, one of the ugly sisters, whose face was blotted with blisters, sneaked up and grabbed the dainty shoe, and quickly flushed it down the loo. Then in its place she calmly put the slipper from her own left foot. Aha, you see, the plot grows thicker, and Cindy's look starts looking sicker.
Next day, the prince went charging down to knock on all the doors in the town. In every house the tension grew. Who was the owner of this shoe? The shoe was long and very wide. A normal foot got lost inside. It also smelled a wee bit icky. The owner's feet were hot and sticky. Thousands of eager people came to try it on, but all in vain. Now came the ugly stepsister's go.
The prince went white from ear to ear. Then he muttered,
Let me out of here.
Oh no you don't, you made a vow. There's no way you can back out now.
Off with her head.
The prince roared back, then chopped it off with one big whack. The pleased prince, he smiled and said,
She's prettier without her head.
Then came sister number 2, who yelled,
Now I will try on the shoe.
Try this instead.
The prince yelled back. He swung his trusty sword and smack! Her head went crashing to the ground. It bounced a bit, rolled around in the kitchen. Peeling spuds, Cinderella heard the thuds of bouncing heads upon the floor and poked her own head around the door.
What's all the racket?
Cindy cried.
Mind your own biz.
The prince replied. Poor Cindy's heart was torn to shreds.
My prince,
She thought.
he chops off heads. How could anyone marry anyone who does that sort of thing for fun?
Then the prince cried.
Who's this dirty slut? Off with her nut. Off with her nut.
Just then, in a blaze of light, the magic fairy hove in sight. Her magic wand went swish and swish.
Cindy,
She cried.
come make a wish, wish anything, and I have no doubt that I will make it come about.
Cindy answered,
Oh, kind fairy, this time I shall be more wary. No more princes, no more money. I have had my taste of honey. I'm wishing for a decent man. They're hard to find. Do you think I can?
Within a minute, Cinderella was married to a lovely fella, a simple jam maker by trade, who was so good, sold good homemade marmalade. Their house was filled with smiles and laughter, and they were happy ever after.